After an exciting win to open the season, it's now time to turn the page, take a look ahead to week 2, and see whether the Hoosiers can stay.
You are Locked On Hoosiers, your daily podcast on the Indiana Hoosiers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What is up, guys? It is Thursday, September 8th. This is Locked On Hoosiers, your one and only daily one-stop shop for everything athletics. I'm your host, as always, Jacob Rude. Want to thank you guys for making us your first listen every single day. Today's episode is brought to you by Upside. Download the free Upside app and use promo code LOCKED to get $5 or more cash back on your first purchase of $10 or more. Indiana had a fun win in week 1, but it's time to turn the page and look forward to their week 2 game against Idaho. To help me do that, my friend, yours, the one, the only, Jared Bud. It was a wild one. It was one that I certainly did not think we were going to pull out. I was thinking ways that things could go wrong, even on that final drive. What were just some of your thoughts on that week 1 victory?
It feels like we have a real quarterback. Not to say that Michael Penix was not one, obviously. But
looked like a very real quarterback against for Washington on Saturday.
He did, and I love that for him. But it looked like we have a real quarterback in a few different senses. One, he made some big time throws. Obviously, just get that out of the way. The other parts of it are that it looked like the play calling had improved from previous years. I think we can all agree on that. And it looked like he had some form of viable pass protection. Two things that Michael Penix never had the last couple of years here at Indiana. So it's hard not to feel good. Look, is it the best team in the world? No. Is it the most exciting win on the planet? No. It's not Penn State 2020. Not a lot of things can be. But it's a big step in the right direction for a fan base that, quite frankly, was looking forward to Midnight Madness more than it was the next 6 games of Indiana's football season until basketball tips.
Yeah, 100%. I was surprised at the turn, considering how bad last year was. The way they won that game, the fact they won that game, maybe will bring some of that excitement back. They have back-to-back home games now against Idaho and Western Kentucky. We'll talk about this in a little bit, but yeah, that was one of my biggest takeaways, and we talked about it earlier this week. Bazelak looks really good. There's a lot of factors in that. The play calling is not something I talked about yet. Walt Bell looked good, and it was just all around a Nick Sheridan coached offense, and it was a more offense than they had last year. Downfield, more explosive plays than they had last year. As you said, a lot of that stems from an offense line that pass protected well, and we talked about that on Wednesday's show. If you look at the Pro Football Focus grades, they pass well. They did not run block well. What were your thoughts on the offensive line? Does it seem like it was steps forward? How concerning is it that they couldn't run block and IU had absolutely no run game?
Yeah, so obviously improved play from last year, particularly in the pass protection. I think we had sort of discussed it during the game. Part of it might just be, cohesion. We were talking a little bit, you and I, just on the side about, they look not very cohesive as a unit. And even just with the offense at large, because, you're talking before that final drive, we had 72 yards of offense in the second half, I think it was. So they didn't look super cohesive until the end. but they looked competent. And that was something that was sorely, sorely missing the last couple of years from the offensive line and from the offense at large. Um, from a pure entertainment perspective, I would much rather my pass blocking be better than my run blocking.
Yeah.
It gives having a good quarterback, having a good passing game, draws eyes and draws attention. Listen, we've talked about it ad nauseum. We love Tevin Coleman, we love Jordan Howard, we love all these big time Stevie Scott, all these big time Indiana backs that come through, but it's not sexy, it's not fun, it's not how few times that we've actually enjoyed watching an Indiana offense, even when the running game was going these past few years. You could probably count the number of games that you enjoyed on one hand. So I would much rather the pass protection be there before the run blocking is. I think eventually it's much easier to figure out the run blocking than it is your pass blocking schemes. Quite honestly, as teams respect Bays a little bit more, I'm sure that'll open up some numbers in the box, as long as he continues, his form from the end of the game. But I think there's a bunch of things that will contribute to it getting better. As long as Bays can continue to throw the ball, the box will open up. As long as the play calling is fairly open, it'll open the box up. And then just cohesion and time with the offensive line. I think those are the big things you're looking at when you're looking at this Indiana offense. And everything, we said it last year, we'll say it this year, everything starts and ends with the offensive line. They look good. They look much better than I was prepared for them to look, even against an opponent that's not particularly exciting. Have them look good, figure it out against these teams, against the Idahos of the world. And then when you're ready to have Michigan State come to town, you're ready to play. I won't quite say Ohio State, but when your Minnesota's, your Rutgers's, your Maryland's roll around, it leaves a better vibe and a better feel about the offense moving forward if you can get them to play the game that they need to play these first few weeks.
Starting then ending with the offensive line this year, and that was positive. And to your point earlier, part of the reason we love those chaos teams is because they could throw for 400 yards and score in seemingly one play. They would quickly, but it is more aesthetically pleasing to watch an offense that can throw the ball. Last thing I want to get your thoughts on, that defense looked a lot like a Tom Allen defense. Wasn't always the case last season. I think a big part of that is the takeaways, which, again, were not there last season, but the swarm, get pressure. Did that feel like a Tom Allen defense?
Yeah, it wasn't just the turnovers that they forced, it was the timing of the turnovers that was really important. That was a big component in our COVID season when we were gonna win, when we should have won the Big Ten. Neither here nor there. But that was, that was something we'd sort of talked about. And going into last season, the goal, we knew it, everyone knew it, was Tom Allen wanted a top 10 defense. Obviously, that didn't work out for numerous reasons, and I don't think this is top 10 potential defense. I just don't, and it's hard to imagine. Look, it was hard coming into the season to imagine an Indiana defense that doesn't have Micah McFadden on it. When you lose someone that's that much of a stalwart in your defense, that's that good of a football player, that's that important of a leader, you're going to take some steps back naturally. And it was a good start. It was a very, very good start to the season. They didn't break a lot. They came up with the timely turnovers. I feel good about the defense. I don't know how much it will continue again as we get into Big Ten play, but then again, we just watched a Big Ten team put up 7 points with 0 touchdowns. So, I mean, anything's possible. I wish we played that Iowa team last year, week 1.
That'd have been tremendous. Yeah, where was that to open the season last year? And Iowa looked horrible. The kind of sneaky thing, I'm not going to go there yet, but a lot of the toss-up teams for IU not look good. That Nebraska game feels a little more winnable. That Rutgers game always felt pretty winnable. So not gonna say bowl game yet, but we're getting there. A couple wins away these next few weeks from starting to talk about bowl games. But let's turn the page on week one. Look forward to week two against. Before we dive into that, let's talk about today's sponsor. From cringing at the pump to getting an eye-popping check at your favorite restaurant, inflation is hitting us all where it hurts, and it really hurts. That's why I started using Upside. Upside's an incredible app for anyone who buys gas or dines out. Purchase and cash back thanks to Upside. To get started, download the Upside app. Use my promo code LOCKED and get $5 or more cash back on your first purchase of at least $10. Next, claim an offer from whatever you're buying on Upside. Check in at the business, as usual, with a credit or debit. Get paid. Card rewards or loyalty programs, you can earn 3 times more cash back with Upside. Upside users are earning more than $1 million every week. That's probably why they have a 4.8 star rating on the App Store. It's really simple. I honestly do use this. There's a gas station right by my apartment. Before I go get gas, I just click that gas station, click check in, pump the gas as normal. About 24 hours later, I get told I have money in my wallet on Upside. So download the free Upside app. Use LOCKED to get $5 or more cash back on your first purchase of $10 more. That's $5 or more cash back on your first purchase of at least $10 using promo code LOCKED. Big thanks to you guys for making us your first listen every single day. Be sure to go subscribe over at YouTube. We post the episodes there daily. In a normal week, Thursday would be when I would provide some type of preview for the opponent. We will do that. If I'm being honest, it's an FCS team. We saw them last season, and though they've had some change, new head coach, personnel changing a little bit, it's an FCS team, and I think it should probably be a lot more worried about kind of improving itself than necessarily anything about the opponent. So on that front, what are some improvements or just some things you want to see in week two for Indiana?
Continue the momentum from week one. You have to continue the momentum. You can't have, don't want a slow start against an inferior opponent. And there are very few opponents that I'm comfortable saying are inferior to Indiana football. Idaho is one of them. I mean, last year was a disastrous year for us, and I think we hung a 50 burger on them. Penix probably had like 200 passing yards that day or something. I remember we went crazy on them. So it's mostly about maintaining the momentum. Don't let Idaho be in this game for any period of time. Just continue to develop that chemistry, continue to develop just yourselves on the field, and reestablish that winning mentality. And winning teams, good teams, bowl teams, they win these games pretty easily and they don't look back. They start off hot, quick lead, bury them with defense, game's over by halftime. So that's what I want to. That's what I want to see. Is I want to see this game over by halftime. I want to see, are we going to get the offense that came out in the second half and put up 72 yards over the course of basically the entire half, with the exception of the last drive, or are we going to see a continuation of the offensive momentum that they built on that last drive? When they marched down the field, they had an open, fast-paced offense, and Bays was able to make some throws in some really good windows. So that's really what I want to see this next week against Idaho.
Last year, IU did put 56 points on them. It was a weird game, though. Offensively, they didn't do a whole lot because they kept getting really short fields because of the defense, and they had the punt return as well. So Penix 8 yards. He had 2 touchdowns. That probably should have been a red flag for a lot of things. But, yeah, that was an inferior team last year, and I think IU football team last year is worse than the one they have this year. So I again, like I kind of said, I think it's a lot more focus on IU. The offense has to, right? I think a big thing is figure game. If you're to believe Walt Bell, which there's no reason not to, he said that Illinois was stacking the box to stop. Maybe an under strategy with a first-year quarterback and a whole lot of unknowns at wide receiver. I think teams are going to do that a whole lot moving forward. Looked really good. So now it's on the offensive line to run block holes and see what Sean Shivers can do. They really didn't get any kind of sense of what kind of back he is because he only had 15 carries for 28 yards. So the biggest things to me when kind of looking at specific aspects is figuring out the run game, getting that blocked, and I guess some momentum, to use your word, in that front as well. I guess the also encouraging thing is that Walt Bell audibled and called more passing plays. He said that that was the most he's ever thrown in a game before, but if he at least he is aware enough to diagnose that, I guess, and realize that we need to throw the ball because yeah, they threw 52 times. I tweeted the stat. That was only the third time since 2002, I believe, that an IU quarterback has thrown at least 50 times and won the game. Michael Penix did it twice. I guess it was the fourth time. He was the third quarterback to do it. Penix did it twice, and I believe Ben Chappell did it way, way back when. So it's not often IU throws the ball that much and wins. Probably because it's not often that IU wins. So that'll be a big thing. Also, kind of to your point, I want to see the quarterback and wide receivers build some more chemistry because Bazelak finished 28 of 52, which doesn't necessarily look great, but I thought a lot of the incompletions seemed to be communication errors, whether somebody ran one route and Bazelak was expecting another. There was or interception that went straight through receiver's hands. It seemed like there was a lot of cool things that were wrong with the pass. That'll be a big thing I'm watching for. Even then, Cam Camper looked incredible. We probably haven't talked enough this week about how good him and DJ Matthews looked. We knew DJ Matthews was really good. Camper we did not know about, and damn, did he look really good. So continuing to see Bazelak build that chemistry with his receivers and just this offense getting more snaps as a whole is something that I'm looking forward to. Is there anything else you have an eye on in this game?
I don't think too much, honestly. It's not a game that I plan on watching particularly closely. If I'm watching the game closely, something's gone horribly wrong, and I'm not feeling good about. I'm not feeling good about a lot of things. So, really, just what we talked about, and just continuing the upward trajectory. And that's new battle, new battle, new battle. Every day is a new battle.
Listen, every win is important for this IU team because they're not going to have a whole lot more winnable games. So get us one, getting that momentum, build hopefully a 3-0 start heading into a game against Cincinnati, which even if that's a tough game, your next one is against Nebraska, which feels like a lot more winnable game considering how much Nebraska has struggled this week. So there's big opportunities in front of the Hoosiers. It's just whether they can kind of seize those opportunities. A lot of that starts with building off last week. Don't let that be a flash in the pan. Let that be kind of the start of something special and start of something good again. Focus and look at the IU women's basketball team who scheduled out on Wednesday. Take a look at some of the key games and talk a little bit about the excitement surrounding the program heading into this season. We'll touch on that here in just a moment. IU women's basketball, we knew their Big Ten schedule was going to come out today, or on Wednesday, I should say. That was announced earlier in the week. IU just went ahead and released it. It was nice and a surprise, and it included a couple different things on there that we didn't expect. Unlike men's basketball, There was no reporting on the women's basketball schedule. Nothing leaked out. So it came out that on November 14th, IU is traveling to Knoxville to take on Tennessee. That was an entire unknown, basically. That is going to be, if you look at the ESPN way too early top 25 rankings, Tennessee is number 5. So you're looking at top 10, maybe even top 5 Tennessee team that IU is going to go on the road to face. Early test, that is just their third game of the season. So we're going to find out a lot about this IU team really quickly in that one. Not quite the same non-schedule as they had last year where they were just top team after top team and go. I think the Bahamas to face Stanford and things like that. Their other big non-conference games against UNC, which we ACC Big Ten Challenge, that's going to be presumably another ranked team Indiana's going to face. They're right around where the Hoosiers are, so probably a top 15 team. And then you're heading into the Big Ten, where a couple notable games include the Iowa games, obviously. Those are going to come pretty late in the season. February 9th is going to be the first one in Bloomington. That's on a Thursday. And then the season finale for the Big Ten for the Hoosiers, presumably for Iowa as well. February 26th, Indiana at Iowa. Pretty decent shot that one is going to be for potentially the Big Ten title, which is fun. Those two teams had some really fun games last year. That is Iowa's final game as well. Those two teams had fun games, but Iowa won them all. So ultimately, they weren't fun results, even if they were kind of competitive games. So IU is going to be looking for a bit of revenge. IU's final two games are going to be in a sense. They will host Purdue on February 19th, travel to Iowa on February 26th for their final two games. They go to on February 5th. So you're looking at a pretty tough February where you go to Purdue, then you host Iowa, probably going to be a ranked team. You go to Columbus, and then you Michigan, who is going to be down this season, Purdue, and then Iowa to wrap up the season. So it's a pretty soft start to the Big Ten slate, but it's a pretty rough finish. Jared, what's just kind of your level of excitement for this women's basketball program, kind of compared to last year? I know last year they were coming off the Elite Eight, a ton of excitement. They still went to a Sweet 16, a little bit of a rebuild, but this is still going to be a really good team if we're being honest. So I guess what's your kind of level of interest and excitement in this team?
It's Indiana. I mean, say the word. Show me a little orange ball, and I'll get excited. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if I'm going to watch Bloomington North or if I'm going to watch Indiana women, Indiana men, everything shy of the Indiana Pacers. So I'm obviously really excited for the season. This is going to be theoretically a really good basketball team. I love the early season schedule drops. The fact that we'd be going to Tennessee, awesome to get to play on Pat Summit Court. UNC, like you said, a likely top 15 team. Those are the games I'm most excited about, particularly because they don't really matter in the grand scheme of things. No one wants to be playing their best basketball in November. That's just a fact. So it's nice to play these really good out of conference teams. Like you said, again, it's not quite the gauntlet that it was last season. But it's exciting to get to play these teams. It's great environments. It's college basketball history. And then you talk about the Big Ten schedule, and that's where I start to clam up a little bit. Again, it would be great to show out against Tennessee, great to show out against UNC. Go 1-1 there. I'm feeling really good about the direction of the team heading into the season. But obviously, you don't want to play your best basketball in November. You want to play it in February, March, and April. And like you said, that end of February schedule, home against Purdue, at Iowa. I mean, that's where the Big Ten is probably going to be won or lost. Is in that week. If you're assuming that, if you're assuming that Iowa and Indiana are going to be at the top of the conference. But man, it's hard not to get excited about this team, about the direction that this program has been heading in the past few years, and uh, that it doesn't feel like it's no longer feeling like one-offs. It feels like this
Yeah.
is very much a program that's here to stay, that's here to announce itself at the top of college women's basketball. And I'm just excited to watch the ladies out there because they're good and they bring it every single year. And there's no reason to not get excited about an Indiana basketball team that brings it and shows up every single year.
We'll talk a lot more about them as the season gets closer. November 8th is their first game. I think that's roughly the same time the men's season will start. So we'll dive more into them as the season comes along. The men's first game is the 7th, the night before. So I think the Tennessee game I'm excited about because that's just not a team Indiana typically plays. And because they're blue blood almost doesn't even do them justice for what they are for women's college basketball. So excited for that one. And if past season is any indication, or last season is any indication, it was razor thin coming down to the wire in the Big Ten title race. So yeah, it very much could be decided in that final month, in that final week even. I want to beat Iowa. I'm tired of losing to them. They're a really, really good team, and I'm really excited for the matchups, but I'm tired of being competitive with them. I just want to. It's the biggest thing I want to see. Just give me one win against Iowa. That'll feel great. They also have a game against Butler at home right before Christmas on the 21st. That is another team. They started the season at Butler last year, but still fun to see those types of games too. So yeah, this is going to be a really good team. 2 All-Americans in Grace Berger, Kinsey Holmes, and then you have impact transfers, freshmen that played a lot in the international game we talked about this summer. It's going to be a really fun team. We'll preview them as we get closer to the season. Right now, we're still in the middle of football season. We're diving full bore into it until IU goes on that soul-crushing losing streak that frustrates you as a fan, as it always does. So thanks again for making Locked On Hoosiers your first listen every day. We'll be back with you tomorrow to get you all the info you need ahead of Saturday's game. Now, for your second listen, go check out the Ultimate Pro Football Preview 2022, an 8-episode extravaganza to get you ready for the NFL season. The local team experts of the Locked On Podcast Network, plus a betting angle from Lee Sterling of Locked On Bets, all combining into one Ultimate NFL Preview. Search for Ultimate Pro Football Preview 2022 on your Odyssey app, YouTube, or wherever you get podcasts. Follow us on Twitter if you have not already at LO_Hoosiers. Subscribe to the podcast. Leave a quick rating and review while you're over there. Most importantly, though, guys, have a terrific Thursday and LEO.